actually tell you any of their names anymore. Which I suppose is a little strange, but, oh, then that's what life does to you, doesn't it? What's important and what's not. We were married 12 months later. All our friends, well, even those I've forgotten, I suppose, if I had the photos in front of me, oh, there we go. Oh, it was a lovely ceremony. Not the best of weather. There was a bit of a problem with the chairs, but I had the dress I wanted, and the man as well. It's strange, but I wasn't actually in love with him at this point. Well, I thought I was, of course, but actually I was still in love with someone else. But I thought I was. It's strange how that works. I think it wasn't until Ian was born that I realised, until I became completely and utterly, insanely in love with him. Shocking thing to imagine, but there we are, I suppose. Oh, Ian was born 8:30, 8th of August. A little ditty to remember him by. Not the easiest birth. Not the easiest year either. Right. It's a hard thing to hate your own child. A hard thing. I'd love to, of course, but I could tell from the love I'd just discovered from my husband that I didn't love him. I hated him. It was that way for about 2 years, I think. I was just over. I resented him. Well, it's hard for me to say this now, of course, but looking back, I think, well, how could you have felt that way about something so precious? Well, how could you? But that's how it was. I used to cry when he'd cry. When Andrew wasn't around, I'd just hold him and cry. Who could cry the loudest? And I'd shake him as well. Too hard, really. Postnatal depression, that's what they call it. But it doesn't matter what they call it, does it? What matters is what it is. Understanding it doesn't make it something else, does it? Perhaps I love late. I've never thought about that. Andrew, my husband, and Ian. It wasn't until his second year. I mean, up to then I'd just gone through the motions, just doing what mothers do. And sleeping. I slept a lot in those 2 years, just crying and sleeping. But after that, I think it was when he became a person. When he started to talk and learn things. I mean, he was learning all the time, but really learn things that I started to really love him. Like a mother should. Well, like I wanted to. 6 months later, Abby came, which I have to tell you frightened me, seriously frightened me. I thought, if this is the way it is with Ian, well, Andrew's father's name was Ian. If this is the way it was with Ian, well, how's it going to be this time? But it wasn't like that. It was great. Even the pregnancy. I mean, I still got sick and everything, but it wasn't like it was with Ian. She was born 6th of January. No mnemonics there. Oh, quite the little bitch she was from the outset. Which is odd, really, because Ian was so placid. But you can't help but love her, you know. Just awful. Oh, and then Scarlett, 2 years later. Oh, Scarlett had learning problems. She was, well, we didn't know it at the time, but she was deaf in one ear. Gave her problems with balance. Slightly autistic, but it didn't matter. I mean, the autism was tough, you know, but, oh, the kids loved her. And Andrew was so good with her, you know what I mean? And they were the golden years, really. 10, 15 of them. Golden years. We weren't well off or anything, and Andrew worked all the hours, but we were happy. As corny as it sounds, we were happy. And then Ian moved away to university. Oh, he's a lawyer. Came back every holiday, and then Abby. Scarlett was more problematic. She stayed with us for 30 years. She got that assisted housing in the end, but she was never far from us. How did I ever not love him? I ask myself that all the time. How did I ever not love him? There was a rough patch just after the two moved out. I was given cancer. Strange how you think of it like that, but that's how it was. It was hard on Andrew. We were still young, you see, when the kids moved out, barely 40. And I think he thought there'd be time for us, even with Scarlett. But I was given cancer, ovarian, far too early. And all that died for us. We used to take Scarlett out to the cliffs, so she could feel the wind and everything. We used to take her out there, and I can still see him now, hands in pockets, stoic. That little bit of grey hair in the temples I used to play with. That openness. He died 14 days after my 63rd. He got given cancer too, though we didn't know it. One day he was fine, bit of back pain. Next he was gone. Scarlett was in a home by then, of course, but they all came back. Well, even Abby, because I loved him, see? Totally loved him. And when he died, everything was minus him. The kitchen, toilet seat, cliffs, just so painful, I kept hearing from the kids, of course. Ian even moved his practice to look after me, brought the grandkids with him, and Abby finally settled down. Well, for Abby, and she calls when there's a problem. Scarlett even got a fella. Even then, they weren't bad times. I missed him. I did. All the way. But the grandkids and watching everyone grow and get on with their lives, I loved that. I don't remember passing away. I suppose it would be strange if I did. So the only thing I can tell you is that I remember getting up in the morning. I was expecting Scarlett's fella for the afternoon. He was coming to do some work on the spare bedroom, and he converted it for Abby's oldest boy when she ran out on him. But he'd moved on to the city now and done something with a charity organisation or something. Steve was coming round to make it, less 18-year-old boy, I suppose. Bit of paint, nothing more. Good kids, all of them. Very proud of them. But I suppose I never got there because I know I needed to leave the spare key under the mat, and I know I never got round to it. Such good kids. And I loved him, all of them. All of it, really, when you think about it like that. And that's not bad when you think about it. Life really is worth it. Change is as good as a rest.